Like the fire, feel the beat. Gday Gridiron can't be beat. Nick and Ian bring the heat. Brad's the MVP elite. From the outback through the field, we got tackles hard to steal. Catch the passes, make it real. Gridiron warriors never kneel. G'day Gridiron, down under and beyond. G'day Gridiron, yeah, the podcast come on strong.
G'day Aussie Gridiron fans, and welcome to the G'day Gridiron podcast, brought to you by the Aussie Gridiron Network, Australia's home of NFL and gridiron content. We're back with another episode chock full of your Week 5 overreactions and, of course, G'day AI top storylines for this week. I am remote, sitting in a car in the darkness at Mount Panorama, Bathurst.
And he's so remote that I think we just lost him. That's a cracker. All right. Well, we're gonna wait for Ian to come back in, and in case he has any challenges, and if you didn't know it, if this is your first time listening, my name is Brad. I'm joined with us by Nick. Of course, you know us if you've been listening around the traps a little bit. But we're gonna start this episode with some overreactions, as we like to do. Isn't that right, Nick?
Absolutely, yes. And there's a lot, again, early in the season you always get a lot, so just going to get through a lot of overreactions.
Yeah, we like it. So just in case it happens again, we said Ian's popped back in, he's joined us, so you're so remote you might have to dip in and out every now and then, Ian.
I am. You would think I'm in the wilderness, the way that my laptop is just deciding to deal with life at the moment. But, you know, I'm not. I'm only in Bathurst. It's only a major regional city, so who knows? You can't even get 5G here still, though.
Yeah. Well, okay, yeah. There you go.
Properties on this mountain are worth millions of dollars, and you can't get 5G around them. But, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Overreactions. G'day AI. We got lots going on today. I've got all kinds of things going on, so we're going to try and get through this as best we can. And yes, hopefully no more dropouts. But of course, the boys do a wonderful job, as they did last week, carrying my very sick ass through the show. I do still have a bit of sickness going on. It seems to want to keep popping back up.
You sound a lot better though. So there is that.
Surprisingly, and funnily enough, this is the first day since last week that I've actually been able to talk normally. So I completely lost my voice. Even yesterday, I was still straining. So I woke up this morning and I had a voice, and I'm like, well, you know what? We might be good to go tonight. So
perfect day to get your voice back. I love it.
It is. All right, let's jump straight in to our overreactions for Week 5, and we have a very dejected Joe Burrow to lead off this segment.
I know you guys are executing at a high level on offense and you're putting up the points week after week, but when you're at 1-4, do you feel like at some point you guys need some sort of change in your week-to-week preparation to be able to finish some of these games, get your season going the way you need it?
We just have to make plays down the stretch. We're playing really well on offense. I don't know what the league stats are, but we're 1-4. That's not where we want to be. So obviously something has to change. I'm not sure what that is on our end. We'll do some critical thinking, watch the tape, and see where we could have done better. There's plenty to improve on. That's no secret.
Overreacting.
I'll tell you what you can do there, Joe. Is you can throw your team defense under the bus. So that's kind of what he did, and I mean he's just stating the bleating obvious, but yeah,
He is. Yeah.
the offense definitely came to play. They are humming. I mean,
Yeah.
you watch that offense, and they're rolling. Now, all in my opinion, all credit or all things considered, the defense did play better. So they did. They're just throwing bodies at the problem, though. You're seeing them say, okay, on running downs, we're going to load the box, and you're going to have to run through 8 of us. On passing downs, we're going to drop, and we are blitz, and so they're not winning the one-on-one battles, so they're just having to just say, okay, hopefully we're gonna guess right, and which is never a recipe for success. We're gonna guess right, and then we're gonna throw lots of guys at you, depending on whether we think you're gonna run or we think you're gonna pass.
So the Bengals 38 points, most by a team against the Ravens in the last 2 seasons. Burrow career high 5 TDs, going 30 for 39, 392 yards. Still not enough to beat Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. And amazingly, Justin Tucker coming through at the end to seal the deal right at the death. It's just amazing. Those stats are amazing for a losing team. It just blows my mind every time that happens in the NFL.
Yeah,
And they had their
Nick,
chances.
I was going to say, Nick, what do you think? Do you think that the Bengals lost this, or did the Ravens win it?
Oh no, the Ravens. The Bengals definitely lost this because they were the team that was out in front. They definitely had them on the ropes, and McPherson missed the kick in OT. They should have closed this game out. I mean, they were quite poor defensively, and as they've been the last few sort of month. So they definitely blew up more than what Baltimore did win this.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
All right. How about, boys? Overreaction. I mean, I hate talking about it every single week, but
Oh, I feel so bad that your team wins every week. Oh, darn. Poor you.
Brad, Vikings to win the NFC.
Overreacting.
Well, based on the way they're playing, no, it's not an overreaction. And based on the way everybody else in the NFC is playing, no, it's not an overreaction. So what? They're the only undefeated team left in the NFC. They're playing lights out. They still managed find a way to win, even though Darnold was his first game not throwing a touchdown. So it's just, how can you fault a team for winning? All they do is win, win, win.
Still got to maintain this level of performance though throughout the season. And this week wasn't great in terms of performance. It was okay, and it was okay enough. And it was just lucky that we were playing a very defeated New York Jets. And that comes to another overreaction, I guess. And is Aaron Rodgers washed up?
Overreacting. Overreacting.
So the reality is he's struggled significantly this season, showed signs of decline.
Yeah,
Would
he
you
got
say,
hit
Nick?
hard too later on. So later on in the match, he got sort of smacked around. So yeah, coming back from London and now having to play at home against the Bills, it's going to be tough. It is going to be tough, and the Bills have left this division wide open for them. Because the Jets, they did not play well at all, and this week they have to be at home against the Bills, and the Bills have lost their last 2. But offensively, is definitely they can't run the ball either. Like Aaron Rodgers hasn't been, at least at a decent level, and they can't run the ball. So
can't run the ball, or just can't run the ball, or won't run the ball though, Nick. That's what I see. From what I see, it's a won't. It feels like they just don't want to give it to Breece Hall, they've been giving it to Braden Allen a fair bit here and there, but I just don't think they want to give it to anybody to run the ball because Aaron Rodgers is there.
Yeah, I'd be. We'll never know, but I would love to know the percentage of plays that he changes at the line. Because
Yeah.
NFL teams, they'll go up to the line of scrimmage with a primary play, and then they'll have, if it's a primary run, then they'll have a pass option or a couple pass options off of it. And I would love to know how many times he changes the play call at the line of scrimmage, because he's been so successful at that in Green Bay, but he's not the same Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't have the same accuracy. He's playing like a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers or whatever he is.
With his ego, Brad, I'd probably say it's around 100%.
Yeah, and he thinks at least he's acting like he can do no wrong, but yet he's not looking good. So he did not have a good 2022 season. That was his last full regular season. He didn't. You could see definitely signs of him slipping. A lot of people gave him the benefit of the doubt, said it was Green Bay, the issues there, but I don't know, man. He's, to me, it's only the first quarter of the season, but he's looking washed up.
I don't think I need to play the overreaction drop for this next one, though, Brad. The Browns need to change QBs desperately. Kevin Stefanski has come out after this last loss and said that they're still sticking with Deshaun Watson, despite his poor performance, even though nearly every analyst in the game and everybody around the NFL is saying you need to do something. He walked off the field at the end of this game. Left the field, left his team, basically said he wasn't going to run the play that was run. Yes, they had 12 men in the huddle, and he was one of two players to realise that. But you got 12 men in the huddle, the QB is not the one walking off the field.
Gosh. Let me read you this quote, and then I'll tell you why I find it fascinating. So this is a quote from a former NFL quarterback and analyst. Current analyst. Quarterback is a problem in Cleveland. If it wasn't for Stefanski, I'd be thinking long and hard about Jameis Winston and moving him to my starting quarterback. They can't run anything in Cleveland. Can't run it with Deshaun because Deshaun isn't ready to operate the play action pass. He doesn't see the field well. He's not throwing with rhythm and timing. He misses receivers by 6-7 yards, not feet. Now, the reason I'm reading you that quote, that's Dan Orlovsky from ESPN. It was in week 1. He said that in week 1. A direct quote after they played Dallas in week 1. Here we are now in week 5, and it's even worse than that. So I think Stefanski's just an idiot. That's my opinion. The guy is looking horrible. He's on track to break the sack record, being the most sacks, beat David Carr, and most sacks or most yardage lost as well. So it's not a good thing.
Stefanski's on track to lose his job.
Yeah.
Do you think that if Chubb comes back and is 3/4 of what he was previously, that would help Watson improve his play?
Oh yeah, 100%.
I don't know if it improves Watson's play. It might improve the Browns' play.
Well, by proxy, then if they can run the ball, it's going to open things up and all that. But you go to Jameis Winston now, you're not going to be any worse. You
Nope.
can't be. It's impossible to be any worse. So, and to me, the quarterback position is a lot of it's confidence. Are you feeling good about yourself? Do you have a good rhythm and all that kind of stuff? He has no confidence. He's got no rhythm, and we know that Winston has this supernatural ability to not care. So he's just going to go and sling it no matter what.
I don't know if he just doesn't care or he just has this unnatural belief in his ability and the people around him.
Yeah, probably. Yep. So
and I think you're right, Brad, because it's not talent. Like we've seen this guy, like with no receivers, be like the league's leader in passing yards and be able to play at such a high level. So it's, Is it maybe just Cleveland's just a graveyard of quarterbacks? Because we'll make that case for Baker, but I just don't know. Like it's just like a different person. We said this a few weeks ago. Like
Yeah,
a
you
completely
made
different
that point a
person.
couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's like we've never seen, right? Particularly for a player that with his age wise is in his prime, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Never seen it go sideways this badly.
Well, and that's there's other people that are speculating, other analysts and stuff, saying that the legal problems are taking a significant toll on him.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, so what? I got no sympathy for the dude. I mean, eh, I'm not going to get into all that, but he's made his own bed. Now he's lying in it. So
Yeah, that's a product of your own making, really.
yeah, exactly,
Yep.
Oh yeah.
exactly.
Yep.
So I don't have a ton of sympathy for the guy as a player or because of what's happened off the field. And I know we're kind of supposed to put that to the side and be objective about what happens on the field. But come on, man, there's some people you root for and there's some you don't.
Yep. The 49ers have had a shocking start to the season with some major setbacks, injuries,
An understatement.
slow starts from a lot of players individually. 3 losses in 5 games, and the only wins coming to what we now know as a very lackluster Jets and the New England Patriots, who couldn't stop a finger in a wet paper bag. Has the Niners Super Bowl
Sorry.
window closed?
Overreacting. Overreacting.
Well, put it this way: they've doubled the win total of the teams that beat in the AFC from last season. How they've done that, I don't know. And then they've done the reverse on the NFC. Jeez, I don't know. Where do I begin? It's almost as if I had looked at this about 6 or 7 weeks ago and said that this is the traits of a team that's not going to go well.
Yeah, you
The
did actually
problem-
say that, and we did tell you to stop talking doom and gloom
Yeah,
as
we
a
did.
49ers
Look,
fan.
it's so-
Look,
We're
I-
just
we
used.
know.
We're just too used to the man jot reverse jinx, so we just thought you were
I
talking
tell the
garbage, Nick.
truth. I tell the truth. No, I tell the truth. But in all honesty, in terms of the playoffs, like the NFC's weak. Like there could be. I mean, the next 3 games are tough. We've got a short week at Seattle, and then Kansas City, and I think we do have Dallas in there somewhere.
Yep, Cowboys after that.
So it's a tough next month. So
Yep.
after
Sure
that,
is.
there's got to be a run of games. So playoffs, no, but in terms of coming out of the NFC, a lot of issues, a lot of guys injured, too many distractions, and it's just been a nightmare start, really. I don't know.
I think I think the distractions are the biggest thing, to be honest, Nick. And I said that weeks ago. I think those distractions, those the off-season sort of signings and all that sort of nonsense distractions and guys holding out and not doing training camps and all that kind of stuff, that those distractions are too many. And then you throw
to
in
be-
other stuff.
To be fair, to be fair with that stuff is all past. And I mean, IU had a solid game this week. Trent Williams is still being good. He's got a groove on the last sort of few weeks. But apart from that, it's sort of been guys that have been there and been at trainings and everything like that. Like there's been a number of guys like, Debo hasn't shown up that much. Kittle's sort of been in and out of games. You sort of haven't noticed it.
Yep.
Purdy's numbers may look good, but he's sort of been in a lot of spots where you think, what the fuck are you doing, sort of thing. He's trying to do too much now. And defensively, man, I know it was hot last week, and that's sort of weather that Arizona's used to, 101 degrees Fahrenheit, but bloody hell, man, could not make a tackle, and we've had issues stopping the run for about almost a full season now.
It's interesting. If people have listened to the podcast and paid attention, I'm a huge fan of the coach. I absolutely love the coach Shanahan, but I heard a very interesting stat today that said he actually leads the league in giving up fourth quarter comebacks of 10 points or more. So that to me is a scary stat. That's like a coaching thing. If you lead the league in other teams coming back on you with at least a two score lead in the fourth quarter, that says something about the way you operate. And I think you got to look at yourself and what you're doing, because that's pretty telling for the past. I think it was 7 years or 6 years that he's led the league in that. So that's not a good thing.
They also I'll go one further with that stat. It's also most losses in regular season or playoffs for a coach that's coached the 49ers. So he's had 18 in his career, which is 10 more than the next most, which is Bill Walsh. All right, but Bill Walsh had multiple Super Bowls, so you can bypass that.
Yeah.
The issue that I think that I've said repeated times, and not just on this show, but the last few years, is that the reason that we give up these leads is not just because of defense or anything like that. It's because he continues to go away from what works. We were averaging against Arizona over 6.5 yards a carry. Right? And then we had a play where we got the ball, we turned it over, we sort of were at midway. We had some sort of weird plays where, we weren't running the ball, and then Purdy was just doing these short sort of passes. Then we got stuck into 3rd and long, and he sort of just got taken out of field goal range. He got sacked. And then that sort of, spurred the Cardinals comeback. And then we decided, okay, we'll run the ball maybe once or twice on the next drive, and that's when Mason had fumbled. So that was the issue there. So too often we go away from what works. And to an extent, we did that against the Chiefs last year in the Super Bowl. There was a patch of 2 or so drives where they kept giving us the ball. We had turnovers. We intercepted the pass early on in the half, and we just went away from going with McCaffrey. And I just don't know. And we did the same 4 years before that. I just don't understand why we continue to go away from what works. Because when we had made the comebacks, on the flip side, when we had made the comebacks against the Lions and the Packers in the playoff games, we leaned into what had worked. We kept giving McCaffrey the ball. We were able to have Purdy in rhythm, and we kept with that. So it was just we were just not able enough to be able to just continue with what works, and I don't understand why, because Arizona's rush defense was not that good. It was not that good. And on that fumble play, it was bad blocking, and it was a good defensive play at that time. But apart from that, they were not good for their rush defense.
Yeah, no, I would agree. It was horrible blocking on that fumble play. Williams missed the block. I think Juszczyk missed the block, and even Kittle missed the block. So, yeah, I mean, hats out to the defense. But yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I wonder if it's a case of him being so smart that he just kind of overthinks it, and he feels like, oh, I got to change this up. They're going to get a beat on it, and that type of stuff. And he just goes away from it. I don't know, but you're right. It's a dangerous situation.
Yeah, I don't know, because it's so strange how I think you could be right where he's in his own head of just this extra stuff, and a lot of the times it can become so detrimental. And I think one of the biggest things for that is, when we had the chance, 3 or 4 years ago to go and get Tom Brady, Kyle was one of the guys that said, no, we don't need him. We're fine with Jimmy G.
Yeah.
I was screaming at my phone going, what the fuck? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Because John Lynch initially had wanted him, and then Shanahan was like, no, we've got, this is the guy. This is who we're rolling with. And then that went from there. But it's just sort of been weird, and you look at the sort of quarterback. Now, he has been able to have, Kirk Cousins at a good level, and then had Matt Ryan at an MVP level, but it's just he has a certain type of quarterback, and sometimes with those quarterbacks as well, those guys can't make certain plays, which is a big part of it. Which is a big part of it. And I think, it could be a theme with Brock Purdy. I hope it isn't, but I just think it is a lot of schematics things, and then we just sort of go, okay, we can do this well, but look at what we can do doing this. It's like, no, just stick with what works. Like,
Yeah,
you've got the best
overcomplicate it.
non-QB offensive player in the league. Just use him, man. Use McCaffrey. At the time, when we had played the Rams in the conference game, use Deebo Samuel. Just use these guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
For sure.
That's a long
Absolutely.
time on the 49ers there.
I know.
It's not good.
It was.
not good.
Overreacting.
That's right. Let's just stop overreacting on that. All right, let's move on. And let's move on to, of course, this newest segment that is sweeping the nation.
NFL talking weekly buzz. Who's the best? Who's getting love? Top 5 stories gotta say Gday AI. Let's start the day.
And of course, it is G'day AI. Let's start the day with the top 5 storylines from week 5, as they are right now at time of recording. Number 1 off the list for G'day AI is Deshaun Watson settles lawsuit filed by the woman claiming sexual assault and battery. So we talked about Watson earlier, about the off-field stuff is just impacting on his game and all these lawsuits. And, of course, this is one of them. Of course, that adds to, as we said, the ongoing scrutiny around Watson's off-field issues and his career as a whole with the Browns and how it's marred everything. Not sure about Watson settling out of court with some of these things. At some point, I think he just needs to take responsibility of some kind.
Yeah, that's kind of my issue too. Is just, but it's such a litigious society over there that if he does take responsibility, then he's going to open the door for a lot of other stuff, and then the NFL could step in and all this and that. But
There's likely to be a lot more stuff too, Brad, which is probably part of the problem. All right, number 2, Rashee Rice injury update. Kansas City wide receiver Rashee Rice is likely out for the season due to an LCL injury. Sad news for Rashee Rice. He's scheduled for surgery, rather. It could sideline him for 3 to 4 months, which basically resigns Kansas City's receiving cause down to even less as they navigate the remainder of the season and try and push for that coveted three-peat.
Yeah, you hate to see this for a player, any player, and especially a guy that is just so dynamic to this Chiefs team. But if you look at the way friggin' Mahomes played today, it's unreal. It's unreal what that guy's doing. So I hope all the best to him. Sounds like he'll make a full recovery, but he's going to be out for the season, which you hate to see.
On a side note, the Chiefs they're not going to be affected at all because I don't know. I've seen them today. They're out here rolling out with 14 personnel, 4 tight ends and players, and picking up heaps of yards with passing. It's just
yeah. And you see Mahomes is doing like 360s and then throwing the ball. It's unreal.
It's just
They're unreal.
Can't fall for this again.
Yeah. So they're fun to watch.
There are increasing discussions around a potential trade involving Las Vegas Raiders wide receiver Davante Adams. Reports suggest that the Raiders are looking to finalise a trade within 48 hours of us recording this, so the day we are recording this. With teams like the New York Jets showing interest, there have been a few other clubs also mentioned. The situation could significantly alter team dynamics, of course, and their playoff prospects, any hopes of those, which do remain, of course.
Yeah, we know Aaron Rodgers is banging the Davante Adams drum left, right, and center. He's the drum major for that band, and because apparently their connection is just unreal, and it was
Cerebral, Brad. Cerebral. That's what the.
cerebral. Okay, yeah, maybe they tripped out on ayahuasca together or something. I don't know, but it's just I don't know how they're going to do it. His salary is ridiculous. So
Yep. It'd
he's
likely be. It'd be some kind of 1 year deal, mate, which would make him a free agent at the end of the season. That kind of stupidity.
well, but his contract's not. So I don't. He would have to willingly give up like next year of his contract, or I don't know
I
how they
think.
restructure
I think
it.
I saw some stuff where there is this possibility that they basically take on this year's portion of the contract, and the Raiders are still on the hook for like parts of the contract. The way the cap hit falls would be to the Raiders next season, possibly the one after. Depends on when they eat the lump of it. Yeah, it's just a weird situation where essentially they could sign him for the remainder of the season, and then he'd be a free agent after that.
Okay.
There could possibly be look, if they're trying to get the deal done, because his base salary is probably going to be because the base salary would sort of work on per game. I think it is. I think I was listening to this during the week, so I think the Jets in that case would just be able to have enough. If not, they would have to try and have it converted into, I don't know, a signing bonus or something like that, so they can minimise the sort of base salary, so that they can fit around the cap. So it might be just like a half-year rental sort of thing, and they spend a bit extra just to try and make it work this season.
I'm still not convinced that half-year rental would really lead to what they think it would lead to either, though. I think that they're going to have other problems despite just a one wide receiver. Because if that was all it was, then they've got a pretty decent star there already, a young star there already. So what's Devontae really going to add apart from a previous connection with Rodgers? So, Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa is consulting experts during the team's bye week as he aims for a return from injury. His recovery timeline will be crucial for the Dolphins as they look to maintain any kind of competitive edge they possibly have within the AFC.
Yeah, this is one of those. I really struggle. Props to Miami for putting him on the PUP list basically and making him wait for 4 weeks before he could come back. Which is kind of the opposite of what they did when he had that string of concussions a few years ago, and they put him right back in, and they got so much flack for that. I think this is kind of a reaction, a healthy reaction in response to that. You always need to err on the side of caution when it comes to players' heads. But as much as I want to see a success story. Is it worth it? The guy financially, he should be fine for the rest of his life. It's just, to me, I get it. They're pro athletes. They kind of feel like they're invincible to a certain degree, and so. But I got to ask the question, and frankly, if I'm Miami, I'd consider saying, depending on what the doctors say, I would consider saying, sorry, buddy, but we're not going to let you play for us. I know that seems drastic, but I wouldn't want that on my head. Because what happens if 5 years from now, 10 years from now, he all of a sudden has CTE and it's bad? Then it looks horrible, and it's even worse for the NFL. It becomes even a bigger problem. And if I'm Goodell, personally, I kind of put a little bit of pressure on him just because it's one of those unique cases where he's such a high-profile player. I keep him out, personally.
That's over. I get what you're saying, Brad, but on the flip side, it's over a 90 mil hit in dead cap over the next 2 years. So it sounds good. I get what you're saying morally.
Yep.
Yeah, but 34.5 mil and then 58.5 mil the year after in dead cap.
Surely there'd be some kind of medical clause, though.
Yeah, that exactly. That's what I would think. I would think that if it's like an emergency retirement type thing, then it
Yeah.
would. I would think, okay, you got to pay the guy, but it's not going to be on your books type thing.
But they would. But if they're saying no, we're going to cut you, and then the doctor said, well, technically now he's all fine.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. See, it's a bit of a grey area, isn't it?
Yeah.
It'd
Yep.
have to be Tua saying, I don't think I need to play anymore.
Yeah,
I don't think I
I
can
think
risk
Correct.
playing
Yeah.
anymore.
That's the
It's-
yeah. Fine. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have to be Tua making that judgment call, I think. Brad's Dallas Cowboys are facing questions once again regarding their starting quarterback, Dak Prescott, who, strangely, even though throwing 29 of 42, 352 yards and 2 TDs on the weekend, has come under fire for taking a couple of unnecessary sacks and, of course, a 2-interception game, the second of which, Brad, was directly into double coverage and was just a boneheaded move by any QB.
Oh, it was stupid, and he was on his way to his worst game as a pro, in my opinion, just in terms of like decision making. But he jumped on that fumble that they had at the very end, and then
Oh,
on
yeah.
third down, and then he threw the fourth down touchdown pass. So he salvaged everything, and he didn't play all bad. I mean, he made some good throws, so I got to give him that. But it was not looking good, and there was something going on because I don't know if you guys watched on the TV copy. You can see CeeDee Lamb just having a go at him after that interception on the sideline, and Dak was just looking at his iPad and basically just ignored him. So props to Dak for not taking the bait and getting into a shouting match on the sidelines. But all is not right there in Cowboy Land between those two. There is obviously some tension, and they're not on the same page. They haven't been on the same page since the season started. So the fact that they're 3-2 now is I'll take it. I'll take it. But all you have to do is watch a quarter of their play, and you realize they're not nearly as good as what they were last season. Their defense stepped up. Their defense played a lot better, but still, it was woeful. And I will give them credit. Imagine having to start at the beginning of the season, what was your fifth string defensive end. So he ended up starting and playing the game. So they've been decimated by injuries on the defensive end side, and yet they've come how and made it respectable. So we'll see if they can continue that. They've got another tough 6 games, and frankly, I could see them losing those 6 games. But sorry, I'm digressing into Cowboys in general, and you're talking about Dak Prescott. You can
digress if you want, Brad. They figured out how to run the ball in this game. That was an amazing sight.
Hey, oh god!
Who would have thought that Rico Dowdle could actually run the ball? No, we need Zeke Elliott. We need, I don't know. They haven't even put, like I said the other day, they haven't even put Dalvin Cook in at all. He hasn't even come off the practice squad. They still believe in Zeke Elliott that much.
Yeah. Well, I believed in Dowdle. I put money on him to get over 25 yards. So there you go.
You did.
I did.
I'll tell you
I do have him in at least 2 fantasy teams as well. So
okay.
I believe in Dowdle.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I can't believe I'm going to come into bat for Dallas now offensively.
What are we doing?
I can't believe
Where are
this.
we?
What a change of events. No, I thought, you know what, considering...
You
I
two
put
start
this on a
banding
level-
together because your teams are losing.
He
My
did it
team's
with the Niners
5-0. What are we? Where are we? What universe are we living in right now?
That's
This is
right.
ridiculous.
Yeah. The 49ers have the worst record of the 3 of us.
We're all topsy turvy. Anyway,
I was going to say, look, rushing wise, Dowdle was pretty good. But I think with Prescott, all of that to me, considering how good Pittsburgh's defense was, all of that to me with that last drive that he came up with, that 15-play drive, for me that's the overarching point. Like for them to be able to stick in that game because the defense, as you said, was quite good. Lots of outs. You know, their best player was out defensively in Parsons. I don't think it's all doom and gloom offensively for Dak. Really, I'm surprised that the Gday AI has come up with this because really I know through three quarters and that wasn't fantastic, but considering how well he led the team down and was able to get the win away from home in Pittsburgh like that, those are hard wins. Those are very hard wins. And I was reading the lips just about CeeDee Lamb before. He's just telling Dak, give me the jump ball. Give me a jump ball and we'll be good to go, which he would be able to get to. It didn't look anything vicious or anything like that, but I think the way they were able to galvanise and get through, I don't know, Brad, it felt like a bigger win than what you're painting it out to be.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
I think because I've been here before. You know, we the last 3 seasons we've won 12 games in the regular season, so I'm just jaded by this, you know, regular season performance, and then you come to the playoffs and shite the bed. So and you know, and I said at the beginning of the season, until they can do something in the playoffs, then I'll stay a little pessimistic. But you got to get to the playoffs, and in order to get to the playoffs, you got to win. And they are winning. They're 3-2. Now their schedule is tough. Their schedule. Yeah, well, is really tough.
Speaking of schedule, I can't wait to see what the tune sounds like between you two in 2 weeks' time when the 49ers and the Cowboys play each other. So,
no, my team's worse.
You both already realise we're previewing that game, don't you?
Oh, absolutely we are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But that game is different. I won't be going into bat for Dallas because a little bit like Brad said, based off of recent results, that's what we're going to be driving that with.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to that game. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right. Let's finish that up.
Let's start the day.
And of course, that was G'day AI for week 5. And a little bit in G'day AI's defence too, Nick. It does give me the prompts in terms of what the storylines are and talking points. They do have to go filtered through my brain and out my mouth. So I may have rephrased that to antagonise Brad about the Cowboys slightly.
Fair enough.
All right, thank you very much for joining us. That have been the overreactions and the storylines from Week 5, from another bumper week in the NFL. We move on to Week 6 next, and we got some pretty good games, a few more divisional matchups, a few more teams on bye. We won't have to suffer through any Viking stuff next up. In our game previews or next week, because the Vikings are on a health retreat, trying to get healthy to go 6-0 the following week. So let's see how we go. Anyway, please go to the home of the Aussie Gridiron Network, the mothership, Linktree /Aussie Gridiron Network, for all the links to our socials, all of the shows in both G'day Gridiron and the Aussie Gridiron Network, and Aussie NFL Fantasy. All of Manjot's stuff at Pastry Press NFL on both Instagram and his YouTube, where you will find all of our shows, and you'll find Manjot's amazing local gridiron show, Aussie Gridiron Today. So please go and check all that out. And of course, on that link tree, the merch store link. So go check out some awesome merch where you'll find some G'day Gridiron shirts and some amazing designs that you can buy and wear around and support everything that goes on in Australia. Apart from that, on behalf of myself, Brad and Nick, thank you very much for listening, and we hope to see you on the Saturday show for some Week 6 game previews. See you later.
The Gday Gridiron podcast is brought to you by the Aussie Gridiron Network, a network of gridiron content made by Australians for Australians. Check out our other programs, the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show, No Huddle Dynasty, and Pastry Press NFL. And don't forget to like and follow us and the whole of the Aussie Gridiron Network on Instagram, Facebook, and Pastry Press on YouTube.